Hi, my name's Chris, and I would like to show you some more specific measurements on the DIY teleprompter that I had on YouTube. Chris Mack sent me a message. He said, hey, I'd like to get some specific measurements and stuff, and I thought, you know, that's a really good idea. So Chris, this is for you. Anybody else that would like to see this? I started off with it's a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. That might be a little overkill. 1/2 inch might be fine, but this does make it pretty rugged and heavy duty. I'm kind of rough on things. The base piece is 13 1/4 by 11 1/4, which is and it's 11 1/4 long, which closely resembles my picture frame is 11 1/4 by 13 1/4. So all I really did, I didn't measure that. I just laid the picture frame on top of the piece of wood and traced it, and just did it that way. I did all my cuts on a reciprocating miter saw, so it had a long enough reach to actually get on. Actually, no, I don't think it had a long enough reach. I think I actually had to turn the piece around and finish some of the cuts, but that's not a huge deal for somebody. You could do this with a circular saw. You wouldn't have to have the, you know, everything all perfect and square and everything. The corner pieces that support the picture frame where it is are just a little over 10 1/8, yeah, almost 10 1/8 inch long on that end, and 7 1/8 on that end, and that's going to give you a 7 3/16 size there. And I do believe this is about, no, these are a little different size. 9 inches on the long side. Oops. And 6 1/4 by right about 7 inches. And like I said on the video, I used a Carpenter speed square to nail those 45s. Now on the top here, this piece is 11, I'm sorry, that's 12 5/8. 12 5/8 by 8 5/8 at the top and a little under. I do have a 45-degree cut on that, and I did that on my miter saw by setting the blade head sideways. That just made that piece meet in really nice with that picture frame when I put that 45-degree angle on that. There are two, they're kind of hard to see, but there are two pieces of wood supporting the back here that are 1 3/4 inches wide, and they're just attached to my 45-degree, my triangle there. They're attached to the top, and this whole piece, like both of these triangular pieces and the top piece and these back two pieces, all went on as their own piece. I actually built all that separate from the picture frame forward, spray painted it all, and then attached that to the top by some screws up here, and I think some screws, yeah, there's some screws on the bottom going up into there, and I did pre-drill those so the wood wouldn't split. You really don't have to make those that narrow. I mean, those could be a few inches wide, just as long as you had room in here for your lens, for your camera. And the back here is just covered with a piece of felt, literally a 39-cent piece of felt that I just cut triangular, like pie-shaped pieces in with a knife, and that just gave me a place to push my lens through. I kind of wish I would have done that a little bit different. I might go and trim these out at some point, because sometimes I do have to kind of mess with it to get them out of the frame when I'm shooting. On the back here, I started on, this was just a piece of 1.5 inch by, I think it's 1.5 inch by 1 inch. It's not quite an inch. That was just a long piece of wood that I cut down. One piece runs the length of the bottom piece, and then another piece is just a wee little short piece in here to step up, and then I put a third piece on top. I screwed this one to this one and this one to both of them. That gives me a place to set my camera. Now that could vary on your camera that you're going to use as to how you build that. And you're going to use a 1/4 inch screw. I did get one of those little locking washer things that goes around the screw to hold the camera hold that in there so it doesn't fall out, and that's just a standard 1/4 inch screw. You will probably have to cut that with a hacksaw or something. And when I got the camera on there, it didn't want to sit real still, so I used some of these little things you'll put in a drawer or a kitchen cabinet door to keep it from slamming real hard. I just put 4 of those on there just to raise it up a little bit because my screw was a little bit long and it didn't want to sit in there just right. Rather than taking it all apart and cutting the screw again, I just put those things on there and it gave it a more solid footing than the flat piece of wood. As far as the mirrors go, they came from they came from an auto parts store. They were $6 each, and they are just very simply hot glued onto this thing. The bracket, I had to get roughly a 45-degree angle on one and then roughly a 45-degree on the angle. It didn't seem like exactly 45 degrees worked, and that makes no sense to me because you would think to reflect that surface it would need to be at 45. I had to play with it and bend it and stuff until I got that just right. The arm itself, and again, this is to clear the back of a Nikon D90. The arm is about 1 foot long and about 5-inch drop on there. And I made it extra long here because I wasn't sure when I was building this exactly how high that was going to need to go. So I didn't assemble this to this until I put the camera on there and figured it all out, and then figured out where the height this thing needed to go. One design change I would make, I would try to widen this mirror a little bit more. And this one is fine right where it is, but I would try to get that one out just a little bit farther. That would give you a better view. Sometimes when I'm working with this, I can't exactly see the mirror if I'm trying to frame myself on this side, but it still does the job, still works. And I think that is about it as far as the design. One thing you would want to keep in mind is where you mount your tripod. Right now this thing is a little bit front heavy because I don't have my camera on here, but when the camera goes on there, I found the middle balance point with the camera's weight on there, and that's how I decided where to put the tripod mount. And as far as the picture frame, that was a really cheap wood frame I found at Kohl's or Target. I forget which place I got that at. But it just has to be kind of thick so you can run screws into it. It can't be one of those little cheap plastic ones. It's got to be some thickness to it. And Griffin did make a video at Indie Mogul talking about beam splitter glass or like a 10% mirrored glass. The image would be a little bit sharper if I did something like that. I'm kind of on a budget, so I'm only working with 2 video lights. If I had 4 lights, I might think about doing that and putting a different piece of glass in there. Now, I did silicone my glass in, so if I ever break it or something, I'm going to have a little bit of a rough time, but I did run a bead around there to hold it in place. One thing, I think, one design change I might consider if I were ever build another one, instead of going with an 8x10 frame, maybe going with 11x14. And this is because when I put my camera in here, if I zoom my lens all the way back to 18 millimeters, which is the farthest out my lens can go, I can see this whole edge. I can see this, I can see the camera, I can see all that. If I went with a bigger picture frame as my base, that might zoom back a little bit. But it kind of works anyway because you do want to be far away from the teleprompter when you're using it so you don't get eye shaking. They can't see your eyes shaking in the video. So I think it works anyway the way it is, but that's something I had thought at one point that if I were to build another one, I might do 11x14 frame. But I do like the size of this. This, total height isn't even a foot. We're looking at 10.5 inches and by 13.25 inches. So it's a nice compact size. I can throw it in the back seat of a car and take it someplace, and so it's not too gigantic of a piece that I can't take with me. And I think that is about all. If you have any other questions, please respond down below and I will answer those as fast as possible. But I think I covered all the basics and all the measurements and all that good stuff. So hope that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. And great idea, Chris. See ya.